Everyone, and welcome back to our sum and difference formulas in activity 23. Today we are going to talk about finding the triangle sum and difference using pictures from our graph. So very important here that we are going to be given two pictures each time for two different triangles. So each time we are going to want to draw, and it is very important to remember which quadrant you are in because that will dictate for some of these which have positive and negative x and y values. Because remember, we have positive, positive, negative, positive, both negative, and positive, negative based on which quadrant we are in. So if they're telling us first that we have triangle A located in quadrant 3, I want to start my picture by drawing triangle A, and I'm just going to call this angle A. And my tangent is my opposite over my adjacent. So that's going to be opposite is 28, adjacent is 45. And here's where that important part comes. Because we're in quadrant 3, both of those are negative. And then we can also draw triangle B. This time they're saying they're located between pi over 2 and pi, aka quadrant 2. So I'm going to draw a quadrant 2 triangle for triangle B. This time they're giving us the sign that's the opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite is 35, hypotenuse is 37. And we want to find the value of the cosine of A plus B. Well, from yesterday, we know if we want the cosine of A plus B, we need the cosine of A times the cosine of B. And then if it's a plus inside our formula, it's going to be a minus inside the identity. Sine of A times sine of B. So we basically need the cosine and the sine of both of these triangles. So the next piece that we need to do here is I need to figure out what my hypotenuse is. So I'm going to ignore the negatives, but I know A squared plus B squared is going to equal my C squared. So 28 squared plus 45 squared. And if I square root that, I find out that 53 is going to be my C value. Hypotenuse is always positive. In the second picture, I have my hypotenuse. That's 37. I know that whatever my x squared is plus my y squared, which is 35, will give me 37 squared. So I could take 37 squared minus 35 squared. I get 144. Square root of that is 12. Now I have to be careful because my x is in quadrant 2. It's actually going to be negative 12 because we moved to the left. So my cosine for triangle A is going to be my adjacent leg over my hypotenuse. So that's going to be at negative 45 over 53. Cosine for triangle B, adjacent over hypotenuse, x over your R value, is going to be negative 12 over 37. And then over in the second, sine is opposite, so negative 28 over hypotenuse. And then the sign for the second one, opposite over hypotenuse. Now from here, we can just type this in our calculator to simplify. So I'm going to take cosine of A, so negative 45 over 53, times sine or cosine of B, and then I would subtract sine of A times sine of B. And then I'm going to make sure I turn my final answer into a fraction. And it's not pretty, but we get a final answer here of 1,520 over 1961. In our next example, they are giving us both of these are in the first quadrant. So I'm going to set up my two triangles. My first one is triangle X, and they're giving me the cosecant, which would be my hypotenuse over my opposite, so 25 and 24. And then my second one is also in quadrant 1, it says, triangle Y, and they're giving me my cosine, so that's my adjacent over my hypotenuse. So my hypotenuse is 5, adjacent side is 3. So the good news on this one is everything is going to end up being positive because we are both in the first quadrant. Now, we need, for tangent of x minus y, we would need the tangent of x minus the tangent of y all over 1 plus tangent of x times tangent of y. So essentially, we need the tangent for both of these. Well, similar to the last one, we first need to find our missing side. So I need the missing x value here. Hypotenuse squared equals x squared plus 24 squared. So 25 squared minus 24 squared is 49. Oops, squared. Oh my gosh. 25 squared minus 24 squared is 49. Square root that to get our answer of, square root of 49 is 7 for our missing side. Because your x value is going to be 7. Which means our tangent on this first one for x is going to be our opposite over our adjacent, so 24 over 7. In our second one, we need the opposite side, so again, we need this y value over here. Very similar setup. 5 squared is going to equal x squared plus y squared. Subtract it over, we get 25 minus 9, which is 16. So our y value this time is 4. So we'll call it 3, 4, 5 right triangle, which means our tangent for this one, opposite over adjacent, is going to be 4 over 3. So again, on the bottom then, I would have 1 plus tangent from triangle x, which again is opposite over adjacent, and then tangent from triangle y, opposite over adjacent. So notice on here, once we plug in that tangent, you're not taking the tangent of this. These are the tangents that we are using. Okay, so now we're going to type these in. I like to do it as 2 steps. I like to do the numerator first, 24 sevenths minus 4 thirds. Math, enter that to make sure I get it as a fraction. I get 44 over 21 on the top. And then on the bottom, again, I'm going to just type this in. 1 plus 24 over 7 and times 4 thirds. And again, math, enter. I get 39 sevenths as my denominator, and then I can divide 44 over 21 divided by 39 over 7. Math, enter. We should get 44 over 117 as our final answer. All right, the last one is again giving us 2 triangles in quadrant 1. We have triangle x, who's giving us the cotangent, triangle y, who is giving us the sine. Remember, the cotangent is your adjacent over your opposite. So opposite is 3, adjacent is 1. And again, we're looking for tangent. And then the second triangle gave you sine, so opposite over hypotenuse. Okay. And reminder with tangent, you need the tangents of each of these. So what is the tangent of x? Which is the tangent of y? And then plug those in to get your final answers. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll work more with these in class.